Let's start off this daily ticket with a special guest, ladies and gentlemen. You know how radio works. Good afternoon. Sean Brady's with you. Jam-packed show. A lot happening with the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot happening in the world of the NBA with the NBA Cup going down. Not so much featuring the 76ers. We got a lot to discuss, but we have a great guest to kick off the daily ticket here on a Tuesday. The Underground King is back. Eddie Alvarez in the building live. Eddie, how we doing today, sir?
Thank you for having me, brother.
Absolutely. Now, we had David Feldman on the show last week. And if that didn't get the juices going, I know right here, right now will. Folks, bottom line is the Eddie Alvarez is headlining Knucklemania 5 at the Wells Fargo Center. Eddie, I know you fought in Philadelphia about 14 years ago at the Leocore Center, I believe is the last time you fought in Philly, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
What does it mean to you that, and I mean this sincerely as well, that if I was a promoter and I was putting on a fight, I don't care if it's MMA or a box, the first guy I think about is Eddie Alvarez. What does that mean to you?
Especially in Philadelphia. I mean, look, I only fought, like you said, I only fought here 14 years ago, and I only got to fight in Philadelphia one time ever during my career before I started traveling the world, trying to fight everyone from all over. But I've literally fought in, maybe 12 different countries and still haven't made it back to my home. So for me, it's full circle, and this is the pinnacle of my career. I've won every world title that you can win, and just to come back home with the gloves off in the city where I started fighting in front of a sold out Wells Fargo. I mean, I couldn't dream this up any better.
That's right. Let me give you the proper introduction. The lightweight champion of the UFC, two-time Bellator champion. Let's go, Eddie Alvarez in the building with us here, kicking things off on the Daily Ticket. And folks, if you want to get down to witness this, and trust me, I will be in the building, Knucklemania, it's Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. All the details at bkfc.com. Hit the events, and you'll go ahead and see some really cool things, including a great trailer from the press conference where the gentleman you're fighting is from San Diego, Jeremy Stevens, and you had a few things to say to him.
Yeah, we went kind of Philly on him a little bit.
I love it. No, it's great. All right, so you've fought a ton, obviously, Eddie. You've done it all, and from the UFC ring, Octagon taking on Conor McGregor, which was just an unbelievable fight. We've seen you win some great battles over the years. Bare knuckle, though, dude, that's a different monster, and it's new to me. So just be upfront. It's new to me. But man, is it mentally different for you, or is the fight a fight?
I say, look, everything else is for the athletes, and bare knuckles for the dogs. And we're the entertainment of the fighters. So like this is how I knew bare knuckle would be one of the largest sports in the world. I looked around the ring, I looked around the circle after me and Chad Mendes fought each other, and I looked at the faces who we were entertaining. We were entertaining Kamaru Usman, Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje, Donald Cerrone. We were entertaining the best fighters in the world. It's like, where do fighters go to find their entertainment? And where do the top athletes go to find their entertainment? And the answer I came to was they come to a bare knuckle show. This is high pace, it's violent, and most of the fights are figured out within 4 to 6 minutes. There's either pretty good cut. We got some breaks. You may break your nose, break your cheek, break something like that. But this is where they go to find that high pace violence and figure out things pretty quickly.
Now, of course, you've been training, and your last time that you stepped into a ring was what, 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, Eddie?
About a year.
About a year ago? I apologize. Excellent. So ready to rock and roll. What are we predicting here, man? What are we predicting coming up? Once again, you got to get down there to the Wells Fargo Center, January 25th. What's the prediction? What are we looking at here, Eddie?
I want to say I'm a slow starter, okay, but it takes,
You're like the Eagles. You're like the Eagles.
Yeah.
You start slow.
Yeah. I like getting into the fight. You know what I mean? When all the hesitation's gone after the first or second round, and I can begin to get creative in there, and I say let myself cook a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think I'm thinking round 3 or 4. Jeremy's a tough kid. He's going to be a tough guy to break, but I think I'll be able to overwhelm him with speed, overwhelm him with, tenacity. And I just don't see us getting to the fifth. I'll be disappointed in myself if we end up at a fifth. So I think with the spirit of Philadelphia behind me and 18,000 fans in that arena, we get him out of there.
Yeah, Dave hopped on the show last week, and he said immediately 70% tickets sold. Now, I know that promoters are going to, but that's not lying. That's the reality. We love this stuff here in Philadelphia. And as I said, you're a marquee name. Like, you deliver. You pack that punch, pun intended, and it's really paying off in a big way. It's going to be really cool to see what that's all about down there. Like I said, my first time seeing a bare knuckle fight in a ring. Now, I've seen many fights before. Got my ass kicked a few times as well. But bottom line is, this is going to be exciting, man. What is, take us through a night, if you wouldn't mind. I know that you're a fighter, but for somebody that's going to get down to the Wells Fargo Center first time and seeing these dogs compete in every single fight with no boxing gloves, what are we in store for that evening?
See, this isn't like boxing or MMA where you need to know the names in order to be emotionally connected to the fights. I would say to anybody who's coming down to the event, this isn't something where you just want to see the main event or you just want to see the name who's fighting. You're going to want to be there from the prelims or the pre-prelims from the very end, because regardless of whether you know the name or not, these fights are wildly explosive. They end pretty quickly, and you don't need to know the guy in order to connect with the fight. Everybody knows what a bare fist is, or getting punched with a bare fist, and they know how dangerous it can be and how quickly fights can end. So don't get popcorn. Don't go up and get soda or beer. Get to your seat. Make sure you have all that already, and strap in. Wear a raincoat because you might get a little something on you. There's nothing like it. And I'm a fight fan before I'm a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a fan of fighting, whether it's boxing as a young kid or you name it. But as a fight fan, there's literally nothing like this. I'm a fan of it before I'm even competing in it.
Once again, bkfc.com for all your ticket information, event details, all of that. Let's get down to the Wells Fargo Center on January 25th and support Eddie Alvarez and his squad. Eddie's a tremendous follow, taking you behind the scenes and all things Instagram. Great following, Eddie. Over 387,000 followers. Good grief. I see you here training with Frankie Edgar. That's pretty cool. Got a lot of love for Frankie up there in northern New Jersey, Tom's River's own. And then, as I said, just taking us behind the scenes, still training day to day, getting ready. I saw you eating something healthy before you were walking in here. So obviously that's on the top of your mind. Great condition. Ed, you look great, man. How you feeling for this fight?
Well, I feel great, man. We actually, we started a facility in Newtown, the Newtown Performance Institute. And, my team, the Underground Kings, we started a facility there. It's a 20,000 square foot performance institute. And we actually just came from there. We're creating like a regional training center for top pros to be able to come all convene there and get great sparring, great work, and great coaching. So, I just literally came from there a second ago, and, we had a lot of people who are on the bare knuckle card.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have an official bare knuckle ring inside the facility, and they want to be able to move around in it, get a feeling of how big it is, and just get comfortable with it. So we had guys like Joey DeWaco, Ray Robinson, Cody Russell. We have a plethora of guys with Johnny Garb from South Philly. Just a bunch of guys who are going to be on the Wells Fargo card. And for me, I'm trying to create a team and make it like a Philly versus the world type thing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, you got all of our support here at the Gambler. Trust me on that, Eddie. The facility looks unbelievable. Yeah, I did not see this as you did post it here on Instagram. It looks absolutely gorgeous, state of the art, wide open spaces. And as you said, really important.
And look, it's not just, pros, we have our pro team is insane, but 90% of the people who go there are just general members, enthusiasts of MMA and UFC and want to learn how to fight. So, if you're just that kind of person, you love the sport and you want to learn it, man, come over. We love to have you.
Excellent. Eddie, first of all, I can't thank you enough for coming by here today. We had, as I said, David Feldman joined us last week. He said bet Parks, you could wager on the fight for the first time, which is going to be a huge deal, the full card. So I'm sure that's going to be an extra element for a lot of people that would be down there. Once again, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship coming to Philadelphia. Knuckle Mania, baby, January 25th. And it will feature Philly's own, the Underground King, Eddie Alvarez, who's going to kick Jeremy Stevens' ass. I guarantee that. Eddie, can't thank you enough. One quick one, because you said you're a fight fan.
Yep.
I got to ask it. Yeah, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, anything there for you? Did you feel bad for Tyson? Did you watch?
I watch any. If two guys argue on the side of the road over here, I'm gonna watch. That's how much of a fight fan I am. It's kind of sickening. It's psychotic. But there's not a fight I won't watch.
All right.
Look, I think people who were looking for a legitimate fight in that, I think you were the one who was wrong. Mike's 60 years old. I think Jake. When I watched the fight, I looked like Jake carried him a little bit.
Yeah.
Jake was respectful. I'm glad he was. Mike's a legend. I think fighting is odd. I don't care how much of a killer you were in your prime. 1 year out of fighting, you're not the same man. 2 year, you don't even know that man anymore. 3 years, and like that man's gone. So to think about a guy who's 60 who's been removed from the sport that long, Mike Tyson don't even know who Mike Tyson was in his prime. And as a fighter, I know that.
Yeah.
The general public may see him and think Mike can still compete like that, but fighting isn't like that. Fighting needs to absolutely rule your life 24/7 in order for you to compete at a high level. And when you get out of that, it's over for you.
I'll take your word on that one. It does seem like it's one of those sports where, if you're not invested 24/7, 365, not to say Mike Tyson wasn't at that point, but he's been out of the game for a long time. And as he said, he's 60 years old. Well, quickly though, on Jake Paul, he seems like he's getting better as a fighter. Is he? Is he improving in your eyes?
Yeah, I respect Jake.
Okay.
I think he's committed to this sport, and I think he's definitely picking his opponents well. He's picking guys who he knows he has a solid advantage over and that have great marketability. Like the guys he's beating are, they're household names.
Yep.
But they're out of their realm, whether he's larger than them or whether they're much older than him. He's doing an amazing job picking opponents, and he is taking some risk in between that. So you got to give him his props. I mean, I think he's playing the role like I'm just a Disney kid, but he's beyond that now. He's got great coaches. He's putting in the sparring work against high level pros, and he's taking risk when it comes to sparring in the gym. So I give him his props, man. Anybody who walks out of that tunnel in front of millions of people and puts it on the line, you got to put your hats off.
I could not agree with you more on that one, Eddie. It's not what I was saying in the beginning, but where he's at right now,
I wasn't either.
Yeah, I tip my cap to him, but I did want to see Tyson knock his head off. I just knew it wasn't happening. Eddie Alvarez, once again, good luck. January 25th. I'll be in the building. The Gambler Gang will be in the building. We're going to be loud. We're going to be getting crazy. We're going to be placing a wager on Bet Parks. Once again, Jeremy Stevens is going to get KO'd in the second round. Eddie Alvarez, the Underground King, live right here on The Gambler. Folks, get your tickets now, bkfc.com. Eddie, thank you for stopping by, my friend.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Hey, man, continued success. Appreciate that as always. Once again, Daily Ticket kicking things off. You never know who's going to stop by. Sean Barnard's on the other side. We're going to talk some NBA Cups, some Sixers, Embiid, and we'll mix in some Birds as well. Don't go there. More after this.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Stop traffic on the Schuylkill westbound Bear to University. All lanes are blocked while crews try to clear a crash. Further west, Jazz City to Belmont and Gladwin to Golf Mills with a crash on the shoulder. Eastbound Schuylkill Jam, Montgomery Drive to south. 95 northbound back to Allegheny to Bridge. Fire to tell total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. The slow-roasted Cantina chicken menu is here to stay with ingredients like purple cabbage and freshly prepared pico de gallo. Try it today at a participating U.S. Taco Bell location while supplies last. Contact store for participation, which varies.
With its new look and taste, Dasani is always crisp, clean, and refreshing. So, when thirst calls, answer with the new refreshed taste of Dasani water, now without salt. Learn more at Dasani.com.
Had enough of this country? Ever dreamt about starting your own?
I planted the flag. This is mine. I own this.
It's surprisingly easy.
55 gallons of water for 500 pounds of concrete.
Or maybe not.
No country willingly gives up their territory.
Oh my God.
What is that?
Bullets.
Listen to Escape from Zakistan on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Escape from ZAQ-istan. to start listening.
Stay tuned to Fox PHL The Gambler for the latest CEOs you should know.
Dan Schaefer, President and CEO of the First National Bank and Trust Company of Newtown.
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ever find holiday shopping overwhelming? We've got to figure out what they want and then find it all too. Enter Kohl's. They have the best gifts all in one spot. The toys your kids have been asking for, the silk PJs she's been eyeing, and the stylish sweater he'll love. And you can get 20% off some of your gifts during their customer appreciation event. Yep, holiday shopping at Kohl's is the move. Select styles, offers end December 15th. Some exclusions apply. Coupons do not apply to toys. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again. Because more people are listening to the radio on iHeart today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeart Broadcast Radio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, social, any other media, even twice as many teens than TikTok. Think radio can help your business? Think iHeart. Streaming, podcasting, and radio. Let us show you at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com. Run a business and not thinking about podcasting? Think again. More Americans listen to podcasts than ad-supported streaming music from Spotify and Pandora. And as the #1 podcaster, iHeart's twice as large as the next two combined. So whatever your customers listen to, they'll hear your message. Plus, only iHeart can extend your message to audiences across broadcast radio. Think podcasting can help your business? Think iHeart. Streaming, radio, and podcasting. Let us show you at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
iHeartRadio is your #1 app for the holidays. Just open the app and search Holiday and start listening now. You'll see your local holiday radio station, plus all kinds of other holiday stations, playlists, and podcasts. iHeartRadio, free, never sounded so good.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No. Call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
Have a look at this little beauty.
From one fighter to the next. From Eddie Alvarez to Sean Barnard. Sean, when's the last time you got into a fist fight?
Like a real one?
Yeah. Have you ever been in a real fist fight?
Little scuffles, I would say, is fair to assess. I've definitely gotten away more of like the fighting with my buddies than like actual like on the street stuff for sure.
Yeah, somebody said something on my timeline about Jalen and AJ. They're like, if you don't hate your best friend, then he's really not your best friend. And I was like, it's kind of funny how that works, right? You know,
like I've for sure gotten into more fights with my friends than anybody that I've hated, no doubt. Which I think is how it should be. You know, we got every once in a while you gotta check each other.
Yeah, you know, and every once in a while you gotta get the blood going. I love the fact of what he just said. Like, hey man, if there's two guys arguing on the road, it's got my attention. I hate that we're like that, but it's the reality. And then I feel like one of our social media platforms has just completely went that way. Whereas if I scroll, it's either people, maybe it's my algorithm. I don't know. People fighting and snakes. I get a lot of snakes.
Hate snakes.
Algorithm. Yeah. I don't know why. I hate them too as well. But those king cobras down there, and you got those dudes, Tarzan, and some of those guys are just crazy. diving into the rivers and coming out with the anacondas. Like, yeah, I got to watch that. Because I want to see if he gets eaten by the anaconda.
I
Anyways.
can't. That's legitimately my number one fear, Brace. Like snakes are
Snakes?
far and away above anything else. Like you can throw anything. Snakes is number one for me. I can't even see it on the screen.
Yeah, my number one fear is definitely heights. Like I hate flying. I get like speaking of videos, if I'm sitting at the house and I watch like these videos, like I literally just have this sensation right into my plums, you know. They're like, yeah. So yeah. Heights are my number one. Snakes are definitely up there. All that, you know, these spiders, all those, you know, reptiles, all those nasty things. So yeah, I don't like those either. All right. Well, we'll have to have some fun with that. A little fear factor maybe in 2025 coming the Gamblers' way.
I like it.
Yeah, we are going to have a pretty interesting game next week in our fantasy football league. We have the Sacco Bowl next week between, I believe, Tansy and Tim O'Keefe, and the loser will finish last in our fantasy league. And the loser this year has to do 5 minutes on an open mic. That is going to be tremendous content from either one of those guys.
Oh yeah,
either one. I was fearful of like me losing because I was pretty close, and I'm like, oh my god, if I have to get up there and do 5 minutes, I don't know what I'm gonna make a joke about, but I was ready to bomb. It would have been funny anyways. All right.
I was in the driver's seat for that as well for the first few weeks of the season. But luckily, my team escaped the ramp up period here. We got it together and we found a way here. So moved to 7. I believe I'm 7-6 on the air, sitting at that. So can't complain too much. We're sitting pretty.
All right, the ramp up. I like with that segue too, Sean Barnard. Let's talk about what's going on with the latest with the 76ers here. And you know, I joke about it. You were the only one really watching. You and cousin Nikki were the only two sickos watching Joel Embiid go for 30-plus points on Sunday in a game that they won against the Chicago Bulls. Now what? Because after the game or before the game, there was a quote out there from Joel Embiid talking about how he's not injured, but he's hurt. And, you know, it to me, it's just Brandon Roy is one of those guys that immediately comes to mind when, you know, you're talking about that tendonitis. Now, not all tendonitis is the same. I have tendonitis in my back. I had to get an epidural 2 years ago because I have tendonitis like in the lower part of my neck. I don't know how it comes. I'm not a professional athlete, but it doesn't seem like that's a good thing for Joel Embiid. Where are we at? The expectations, is this going to be a continued, we're going to start him, sit him, we don't know day-to-day type deal with Joel Embiid?
Yeah, I don't think the situation has changed that much. That is like the frustrating factor. I did appreciate Joel kind of speaking a little bit more on it than we've seen to this point, that there is no injury to this point, but it's swelling up more than expected and kind of not responding positively to a lot of this. Basically what we knew with that regard. But what I will say is this is the most encouraged that I've felt about Joel Embiid specifically and the Sixers team. When you look at the first 4-game stretch that he stepped on the floor, that did not look like the MVP version of Joel Embiid that a team could be built around. When I watched him play Sunday, I saw that he was moving better. He looked thinner. I really think he's lost some significant weight, that this is the skinniest that I've seen him in years, that obviously can do nothing but help the knee issues if that's something, carrying a little bit less weight in that regard. But he finished with 31 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists there, was pretty dominant on both ends of the floor. There were a couple moments of him guarding in space. He had a nice block on Kobe White when he had a step on him, which I was really impressed by. So I was really encouraged by the way that he moved to see that there is this version of Joel still in there. And when having these, is it over, is he washed conversations, I don't think it should be remotely about his level of play. But it's, to me, we can still see that he can just be that guy for stretches. It's all about how his body can respond and how regularly he can do this. So we have not got a concrete injury report update since that game did take place. The Sixers are off until Friday, so I fully expect him to be playing in that game. And if he's not, then I will certainly be a little bit more concerned about it. But ultimately, as positive as I've felt about both Joel Embiid and the Sixers after Sunday.
All right. Yeah, and it was a much-needed win. And as you said, the Sixers are off until Friday. And, you know, that's a good thing at the end of the day. They have the Pacers coming up here. Pacers have not lived up to the hype that they, I don't know, not necessarily had coming into this season, but they did have a successful season. Yeah, they have been bad. That's for sure. All right. From everything else with the Sixers, I believe Tyrese Maxey had a triple-double in that game, so that was good. Jared McCain, Nick Nurse, the rotation in that game, since you paid attention to details, again, it happened on an NFL Sunday at 1 o'clock. I had people yelling about the bowl. The bowl was being released, you know, an hour earlier. I couldn't I only had so much going on in my brain. I had focus on the NFL. I could not even turn the game on, to be honest with you. So as far as Nick Nurse rotations, did you see anything that made you look at him a little bit differently, or are we still wondering what's going on with Nick Nurse and that whole deal?
Yeah, I personally loved the double TVs with Sixers on the top, Eagles on the bottom was my setup for Sunday. So I was loving that. Did have Sixers on the main screen with it. As far as like the rotations, it was nice to finally see this team fully constructed. That previously before that game, we'd seen a grand total of 6 minutes and 9 seconds of Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey sharing the floor together. I thought he made a pretty conscious effort to keep all three of them on the floor at the same time and start to build a little bit of that chemistry. It was also nice to see Jared McCain being the fourth guy kind of added to that mix, that he played the most minutes of any bench player in that game. I still think that there should be a case for McCain to just be a starter on the Sixers team, but that's going to be something that is, played around with a little bit as the season progresses. Everything gets a little easier when Joel Embiid's there, that all these pieces fit a little bit more together. You see the roles and how things play out. Tyrese Maxey is a perfect example of that, a guy who the shots looked easier for, still needs to improve a little bit, shot 3 of 12 from 3 and, needs to get the actual percentage up a bit. But you saw how the game looked easier. That was his first career triple-double, had a career-high 14 assists, and out of those 14 assists, 10 of them went directly to Joel Embiid. So that kind of says a lot about how this all clicks together when Joel's there. So overall, very encouraging. There's still more questions for Nick Nurse moving forward, but it was a step in the right direction.
It all revolves around Joel Embiid.
Yep. Always has.
More things change, they stay the same, right? Yep. That's where we're at. We just hope the big man's going to be healthy, and we'll see what happens there. I'm feeling for the guy. I really am. When he was opening up and honest in that conversation, it kind of made you take a step back just for a second. And we do care about him. It's just we're at a boiling point. There's a lot of people that feel like I do, where it's just, man, enough is enough already. Like, we really got to go through this for another 3 years too. Like, it really does suck some of the fun out of being a fan. But again, I got to put that to the side. And here's a human being. Yeah. And of course can't do what he loves, and that hits you a little bit differently. Although he's making buku amounts of money, bottom line is still this is a regular dude out there that's trying to compete for the city of Philadelphia, and he can't do it because of whatever's happening with his body. We'll see what happens. Once again, Sixers coming up on Friday. However, we do have NBA action, and I can't wait to talk more about tonight's games. The NBA Cup is back. Do you respect the cup? We do here on The Gambler. And Sean and I have done the takeover a few weeks in a row here, talking all things NBA Cup. And now we're down to the nitty-gritty. It's do or die, win or go home for these teams. And it's really intriguing. Some of these numbers have me looking at potentially some favorites and some underdogs as well here. So let's open up 7 p.m. tonight. Magic, they're depleted. Franz Wagner down. That's a huge deal. Defensively, offensively, huge deal. Of course, Pablo's not back. I look at this game tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are playing really good basketball right now. Got to give them credit. Giannis at MVP, Sean Barnard at plus 550 might be the play right here, right? Bucks are 7-point favorites tonight against the Magic. 215 is the total here. I just don't know where the points are going to come from Orlando. So therefore, if I had to make a wager, I would bet on the Bucks. But I was looking at the NBA or the NBA Cup futures, and I believe it was plus 550 for Giannis to win the MVP for the NBA Cup. I don't know if it's a slam dunk, but I think that's a decent play as well. If you're going to get invested in the Bucks, you might as well take something on that as well.
Yeah, I don't hate that there. As far as the outlook for this game, my favorite play in this game would be the under of 215 here. That Orlando has been one of the best defenses in the NBA, and I think they're going to only lean on that area of things more without their top 2 scorers there. They've done a really impressive job of staying afloat without Paolo Banchero, but I do think the injury to Franz Wagner might be the straw that breaks the camel's back a little bit here. They still sit in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference, have a record of 17-9 on the year, are 8-2 in the last 10. But as you mentioned, the Milwaukee Bucks have been red hot. That after a really slow start to the season, they're now above 500 for the first time, sitting at 12-11. They are 8-2 in their last 10 games as well. I do lean towards the Bucks covering the -7 there. When talking about where the points come from an Orlando standpoint, the number one direction I would look is Jalen Suggs there. I think he's done a nice job kind of evolving as an offensive talent. His number has climbed all the way up to 21.5, which is a lot for Jalen Suggs, but there's somebody's got to take those shots, and I do think he's going to be the guy to step up there. Also, don't hate the shout of Cole Anthony getting dusted off. We haven't seen very much of him this year, but they need offensive creation. So his number sits at 11.5 from a scoring standpoint. I don't mind that either. Will be interesting to see how they handle it. Anthony Black, also a guy I think is going to see his role grow. But the bottom line is injuries are tough, and Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero are top-tier talents that you're going to miss. So I do think that shows up tonight. I do think the Bucks ultimately end up rolling.
All right, so Bucks 7-point favorites, 12-11 on the season. Orlando 17-9, but again, just taking those injuries really tough.
Yeah,
tough to deal with, and nobody wants to see it, but it does seem like it's happening to a lot of really good players across the league. Just feels like Orlando was putting it together at the right time this season, and now dealing with Franz Wagner out for an extended period of time. Oh, by the way, same injury too as Pablo, as you pointed out. That's amazing.
Yeah, oblique tears really just don't happen in the NBA very often. They're a pretty unique injury, and the fact that your top two players both sustain those in the span of a couple weeks is pretty ridiculous stuff there. So, and the Franz Wagner injury happened against the Sixers, by the way. So, shout out to him. He gutted through it and played through the remainder of the game. They did not know he was injured until the next day, but ultimately that did happen against the Sixers, which poor guy. I feel bad for the Magic and for Franz specifically because he was playing excellent basketball.
All right, when we talk about the MVP for the NBA in season or NBA Cup, the in-season tournament, you have to win, right? Like that goes without saying. Like if you get eliminated this round, you're not going to win this. If you get eliminated in the semifinals, are you going to win that award?
No, I think it's got to be the winner, would be my assumption. Obviously, this is a new situation. We don't really have like a track record for breaking things down as this is year to it, but my expectation is the winner. It'll be the best player on the winner, essentially.
It's a good way of looking at it. I'm not so sure I connected the dots on that. I don't know if I like Milwaukee to win it all. Do you have a pick right now as we sit?
I've leaned towards the Knicks for this, that I do think they're going to be a take the cup serious type team. Oklahoma City has been playing some great basketball as well. To kind of list off the odds, the Knicks are the betting favorite at plus 300, Bucks at plus 360, Thunder at plus 370. The Rockets are interesting, but I don't think they're quite there at plus 550. Warriors at plus 850, Mavs at plus 900, and then the two long shots are the Atlanta Hawks at plus 2,500 and the Magic at plus 3,500. I do think the Knicks are the right mix of team, that they do have talent, they do play incredibly hard, and they have some chemistry and familiarity with each other. They're coming off a pretty electric win last night where Karl Anthony Towns hit a dagger three and let everyone in the arena hear about it, which I kind of appreciated there. So I think this Knicks team is clicking a bit more than I expected at this point in the year. Would not shock me whatsoever if they run away with this.
Brunson got hurt last night, though, correct? He always dings up an ankle.
Yeah, and he did it. He stepped on a member of the crowd's foot is what he rolled it on, at least what I read on Twitter. So I didn't see the exact play, but obviously hate to see that happen. And he was not out there for a crunch time of that game. So clearly something that was bothersome there.
Still finished with a double-double.
Yeah.
He's incredible. And he is your odds-on favorite to win the in-season MVP as well at 4-1. SGA plus 425, Giannis plus 550. Steph, who already have a wager on 10-1. They got an uphill climb because they are not playing good basketball at this point in time. And Luka 12-1 there. All right, let's get on over to the next game as far as this evening is concerned. And I'm going to surprise you on this one.
Okay.
I'm taking the dog here. I'm going to go with the Dallas Mavericks. I think Dallas has really played really well over the last few weeks, putting it together. I didn't look at last year's season as a fluke. It would not shock me if the Dallas Mavericks were able to get into another Western Conference final, NBA final. Wouldn't shock me. This team has a lot of talent. I like Jason Kidd. And as I said, they're putting it together. Now, these two teams matched up on the 17th of last month, and Dallas got the best of them in OKC, 121-119. Again, I'm not going to say that that's going to play into my handicap here. I just look at the fact that catching 4.5, I think Dallas is the right side. I'm not going to sit here and say they win the game outright, a plus 150 money line, but I want to be shy about that either. I'll take the 4.5 with the Dallas Mavericks. Something tells me you're going to disagree, though.
Yeah, not fully here. That I can't quite get there in the money line, but I do like the plus 4.5. That feels like a little bit too big of a window for me, and I think this is going to be a game that comes directly down to the wire. Both these teams play at a relatively up-tempo pace. The Thunder specifically a little bit more in that category, but I do like the under of 231 here. That I think we start to feel a little bit of ratchet up defensive intensity. I think that the Mavericks are comfortable slowing the game down and winning at a half-court pace. We saw the success that they had in the playoffs, and by the way, a little bit of a playoff rematch in this one, so there will be some, I guess, kind of bad blood there, if you want to put it that way. I think it's going to be a big day for the superstars in this game. As much as I talked about the point props from the Magic perspective of looking at the Jalen Suggs and Anthony Black and guys like this. I'm looking directly at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic as the guys as the moneymakers for this team. I think my favorite bets would be the combined points, rebounds, and assists, and I like both their numbers there. That when directly looking at the over-under for points, rebounds, and assists here, for Shai, we're sitting at 42.5. For Luka, we're sitting at 46.5. Those both feel low to me. That I think this is going to be a pretty strong game across the board. I will also note that you can combine those and get plus 290 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook there. So I think this could be the superstars carrying their team there. I think this game goes down to the wire. So I like the plus 4.5. I like the under 231, and I think the superstars shine.
Interesting. You like both unders. You know what's crazy about the Milwaukee Bucks? They have a ton of size, yet they still give up 112 per game. I think they're averaging 113 per game. They're giving up 112. Why? How are they bad at defense?
Brook Lopez looks old for the first time this year. That I think he's been one of those guys who did a really nice job turning his career around and extending it by being a 3-point threat. He just is not moving the same this season, and the 3-point numbers have not been quite as impressive. I think that's a big root of it. Their point of attack defense also not great. While size is a good thing, if you can't move your feet on the perimeter and match up, a guy like Gary Trent, I thought would inject a little bit more life in that category, but I don't think that has really connected in the way that was hoped. So I think their perimeter defense is the larger issue than their size there. They still have Giannis as a guy that can roam and protect the paint and is a high-level defender in himself. But to me, I think point of attack defense has been a weakness for now 2 consecutive years, and I don't think they did quite a good enough job addressing it this offseason.
Interesting. All right. Again, 2 games tonight, NBA Cup, do or die. Sean Barnard believes that we're going to see some defense being actually played. That's a good thing. You think that there's some emphasis going on right now about, what these games actually mean? Hey, it's a regular season game. All eyes on us. You feel like there's going to be a little bit difference with these games tonight?
Yeah, I do. And I think there's 2 sides of this. Number one is obviously the cup stakes have now been raised. Everyone is now aware of the financial compensation that comes with the winner and kind of the stakes at play. And beyond that, when you look at this point of the season, both the Magic and Thunder are looking to establish themselves as Western Conference favorites, not just contenders, but guys that deserve to be talked about as on the front line for winning the NBA championship this year. They do have the bad blood from Dallas knocking out the Thunder of the playoffs last year. What we really saw in that was the lack of big man play from Oklahoma City. We're now going to have an opportunity to see Isaiah Hartenstein added to this team in a playoff-like setting. I'm very excited to see what that looks like, and he's been playing great basketball since returning from his injury there. And then we're looking at the first game here. This Orlando Magic team, while they've done a nice job building up a cushion, I think they mean business and want to be mentioned and the real deal contenders. And the only way you do that is by continuing to look the part while your stars are out there. And then on the other side of things, Milwaukee has hit their desperation point a little bit earlier than most expected this year. They've done a nice job turning things around. They're playing really good basketball. And I think that they've kind of have flipped the switch for we're locked in. We're playing our brand of hoops and we want to continue that. So I think this game means something for all sides from both an individual standpoint, from a season-long standpoint, and then you add the cup to all of that. I think it will make for some good hoops.
Do you respect the cup?
How can you not?
Right here.
How can you not?
Yeah, exactly. Quickly on this one, though, because I want to hit some other things as far as the league is concerned with you. The Atlanta Hawks, winners of 6 straight. They just got lumped up against the Denver Nuggets. I watched that game against the Lakers. That was a great game last weekend, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of high scoring from LeBron, Anthony Davis. Of course, Trey went off in that game as well. Is it fool's gold to believe that this Atlanta Hawks team will hang with the Knicks tomorrow? Or do you expect, hey, look, they're playing better basketball, figured some things out, getting production from some other players? Where do you stand on that game tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm buying what the Hawks are selling, to be perfectly honest. And I think the biggest
spread, too. 7-point spread, excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely there. And I'll start with the number one storyline with this Hawks team to me is absolutely the emergence of Jalen Johnson. This dude looks like a legitimate all-star caliber wing. And he's an interesting story when you think about his pathway. Obviously, he went to Duke, opted out early of the season, and there were some questions about, I don't want to say character, but I guess what his motivation truly is. But he's every bit the player that anyone could have hoped for when he was regarded as this top prospect and a guy. He did drop a little bit in the draft for fears of him kind of, not having his head on straight or worried about the wrong things. Took him till year 3, but that leap is absolutely here. And I do think that there's going to be a conversation about this guy being in the all-star mix this season. And I think looking forward, next year, should be in line for getting that type of opportunity. Zachary Risache, while he's probably the most underhyped number 1 pick that I've seen in my entire lifetime, maybe Anthony Bennett gives him a run for his money there. But for Shea specifically, like he's a guy that may not be what you perceive as a one pick, but he's super important to this team. And what Atlanta has really leaned on is you got Trae Young, and you're going to have to deal with the defensive liability that he is. And they've just surrounded him with these rangy, long, athletic wings and big men. And it's working. You're allowing Young to continue to be this ball dominant player. You have guys that can make up for him defensively, and they still can go get a bucket on the other end. So Shea shooting the ball well. Jalen Johnson showing some creation ability. I'm starting to really like this Hawks team, and I did not expect to be feeling that way at this point in the season.
Yeah, neither did I. I thought this would be a blow it up type of team. And, they're always talking about trading something. Of course, they were invested or traded DeJounte Murray. Yep, exactly. So this is a team that seems like they're always on the move, but we'll see. They're figuring things out right here, right now. Tomorrow night, they're taking on the Knicks. They're 7-point dogs at this point in time. Game being played in the Garden. And then the second game tomorrow night will be the Golden State Warriors, who have lost 6 out of their last 8. They're changing their starting lineup. Draymond's coming off the bench. Wild times out there in Golden State, when that was a team that looked like they figured a lot out this season, and they had me believing. But I'm not so sure that that's a good ticket to have right now for Golden State to win it all. They're 3-point dogs on the road against one of the hotter teams in the NBA, the Houston Rockets. Let's just start with the changing of the starting lineup. Do you agree with Steve Kerr's moves so far?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad chance. It's worth taking a chance on. I don't think it's ultimately going to work here. I'm a little bit of a Jonathan Kuminga skeptic. I believed in him coming out of the G League Ignite and was a guy I was pretty high on, but he's just kind of one of these toolsy athletic guys that has not quite put all the pieces together. I personally feel watching him. I think this is a little bit, and who knows what their actual motivation, but to me, I kind of perceive this as a little bit of trying to pump his stock up a little bit, maybe with a little bit more motivation on the trade standpoint than the actual production on the court. I think they want to kind of showcase this guy, say, hey, who wants a piece of Jonathan Kuminga at the trade deadline? And if you can actually flip him for a guy that is a legitimate co-star to Steph Curry, that's something I think they 100% will do. It sucks watching because Steph Curry can still play, man. And I do think there's a world where you add like one notable change to this team. We're back talking about a contender, but they've kind of faded off this hard-nosed defensive team that they were shown to be in the early stage of the season. They've had some injuries, guys like D'Anthony Melton being shut down for the year, who was playing some excellent ball there. But I'm not fully out on this Warriors team, but I think it's kind of a desperate play as Kuminga to step up and be the guy.
All right, tomorrow night, anything for you on that one? Is this a Houston Rockets play for you?
I'd probably lean Golden State, to be perfectly honest with you. That I think Houston is showing a little bit of concern, I would say, recently. Yes, they're still getting some results, and like there's a ton of talent there. But I just think like they're very clearly to me in the position where they need to make one of these consolidation trades where you're trading 3 guys for one really good player. Maybe this is Jimmy Butler, who's popping on the market apparently in rumors with that. But I think there's too much young talent there, which I know typically you can't get enough of that. But it feels like these guys are kind of stepping on each other's toes in a way that's harmful for all of their development. The Tari Easons of the world, the Jabari Smith Juniors, all these guys that are incredibly talented, but not seeing enough level of opportunity. So I'm a little bit skeptical of this Rockets team. I do think they need to make some sort of roster shakeup. I understand you can only move on from a guy once, so you got to weigh that pretty carefully and make sure you're maximizing things. But I kind of have my questions about that team.
They just beat the Clippers. They were 3-point favorites. They covered that number pretty well there. And I'm just looking at the box score to see who's doing what. And you're right, they do have a ton of names. And Reed Shepherd, wow, just still not even getting a lot of PT.
Right.
And you understand why, because of all the names that are on that roster. Do you think this is a potential team that will make a move? Or do you think that they want to see what they have with some of this talent? I'm talking about trade deadline. I know we got a ways away until we get to that point, but there's some names that I would imagine would strike value in general managers' minds across the league.
Yeah, I think they're certainly going to be one of these teams circling the next available superstar, whether that is Jimmy Butler, who seems to be the most likely in that conversation. Yeah, maybe take a Zach LaVine swing, as that's a guy you can probably get for a cup of coffee these days. And I think he's probably a better player than he's being recognized as. But the reality is, like, I just think there's all these guys cannot grow together, that you need to allow like room to breathe. Reed Shepherd's a perfect example of this. Dude is a very talented basketball player who really is barely touching the floor. And if you were to pick him up and put him in another location, he's probably logging significant minutes and being pretty productive in it. So I do think that it's the right move from all accounts to help yourself as an organization to get a top end talent, to free these guys and let them develop. And ultimately, like, teams should be circling this Rockets team. Both the Rockets and the Thunder, to me, are teams that I circle as whoever's the fallout that they can't control. Any team should be looking to jump on that. So I hope they make a move sooner rather than later.
All right. Well, the NBA Cup is back. It's do or die, win or go home. And it all tips off this evening. Once again, 2 games on the DraftKings board. Magic and Bucks get the party started at 7 p.m. 7-point spread. Bucks favored at home. And then the Mavericks and Oklahoma City Thunder in a nightcap at 9:30. Thunder are 4.5-point home favorites. All right, let's go around the league. And you just hit up Jimmy Butler because that was the big headline. Of course, Paul Pierce hopped on the Le Batard show last week and said the streets are talking. Apparently, he was right. Jimmy Butler's 35 years old, Sean Barnard. You talk about guys that are injured on the 76ers. Jimmy Butler is always hurt. Every single season, he's missing a lump of games. The hell do I want to trade for Jimmy Butler? Am I out of my mind for that take? He provides value. He's still a hell of a scorer. I understand. But the ransom that it's going to take to get him to my team, I don't think I'm interested. Not talking about the 76ers perspective, but give me a fit that you think he immediately comes in and has an impact. And, oh, by the way, you know what he brings from behind the scenes. If things aren't going right, you don't know what you're going to get from Jimmy Butler. It's just there. We know what that experience is like. So what franchise right now in your mind you think would go after Jimmy Butler and he would be a good fit?
Yeah, Houston and Golden State are the top two that popped to my mind there. Dallas Mavericks, I'll throw, is probably the third team that I think would potentially be willing to take a chance on him. For Houston, I think it's kind of the same reasons. Let's think back to them being involved sort of loosely in the James Harden conversations. For them wanting to take that next leap, that I think they could absolutely put together a level of package that would intrigue Miami, and that's sort of a deal that could work for both teams. When looking at Golden State here, I think they missed the boat swinging for Lauri Markkanen, but I think what they absolutely need to do is add another legit star to pair with Steph Curry and give this team a puncher's chance. Jimmy Butler, for all his flaws, can still do those things. And I agree, from a Sixers perspective, have zero interest in this guy. And I think it gets under discussed how much of a volatile personality and player that this guy is. And really the goals that you think about accomplishing, what the appeal of is Jimmy Butler is you can get that playoff run where he can look like a madman and just straight up put the team on his back for a couple games at a time.
Playoff Jimmy.
Yep. But you're also going to get the stretches. I watched a Heat game 2 weeks ago. I forget who even they were playing, where he just was so disinterested out there. He was just running, sitting in the corner, looked like he had no business wanting to play basketball that night. And you're going to have to take that. That's what comes with Jimmy. So there is the give and take there. I think, to be honest, the way I read this is kind of a win-win for everyone. That for the Heat here, they can talk about that they're open to trading him. They're going to do right by him. And then if nothing materializes, they can come back and say, look, we value you too much to be giving you. We still think we have a chance this year, and we can have these conversations this summer. A team like the Warriors can go out there and say, Steph, we're desperately trying to add a star to pair you with. Jimmy, we're trying to get trade talks. We're trying to get something new. And for Jimmy, you can be the center of attention for a couple months, man, because I do think he enjoys that quite a bit. So I don't think it's ultimately likely that he's dealt this before the trade deadline, but stranger things have happened, so not saying no.
Yeah, it seems like him and Pat Riley are butting heads, and that's not the first time that's happened down there with some big-time names. But, again, the Miami Heat in the thick of it, they're 12-10 on the season, a lot of action to be played. It would not shock me if they're able to put it together and go on a little bit of a run here, improve where they're at as far as the standings are concerned in the East. A lot of basketball to be played. Hell, it's December 10th, so you know what we say. The NBA season doesn't start till Christmas for a lot of people out there, but we'll see. All right, around the league, get us caught up. Sean Barnard here, and I'm just going to hit you with some fastballs here, so you go ahead and rapid fire right back at me. Boston Celtics above all?
Yeah, for sure. It sucks watching it, but they're just unbelievably good. They're so deep. They continue. Kristaps Porzingis starting to settle in. They're the real deal, and I think on the pathway to repeating, unfortunately.
Cavs 21-4, still looking good. Are you surprised?
I'm taking them more serious now than I was during the start of this season for sure. They found their identity. They figured out the way to play, and they're sticking to it and having some great success. This Darius Garland resurgence doesn't seem like a fluke. It continues on for him playing at a very high level, which certainly changes the outlook here. Evan Mobley, the leap looks to be legitimate, and I've been kind of a Mobley skeptic throughout his career, but he is putting the pieces together, shooting the ball well from beyond the arc even. So I'm believing in the Cavs a bit more now than was the case at any point prior this season.
Memphis Grizzlies right now at NBA.com, top 5 team. They've won 9 out of their last 10 games, putting Ja Morant to the side because we know how special a player he is. What else is happening in Memphis for this turnaround, and do you take them for real this year?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was a little surprised when taking a peek at the standings today and seeing them sitting at second place in the Western Conference. That as much as I've seen them play some good basketball, I didn't expect it. I didn't realize and put together that it's been that good to that extent here. Desmond Bane is really solid, a guy that I'm personally a huge fan of. And by the way, they're still dealing with some injuries. Zach Edey remains out. A couple other guys battling stuff. I don't know how I feel about Memphis. I think, unfortunately, for all that he is great at, I think Ja Morant might fit the category of a superstar whose ceiling's a bit limited. When you think about building around the archetypes of the Derrick Rose types and guys like that, that I think there are things that can be done defensively to match up with a guy like Ja when, fading and blocking off the paint and that type of thing. And while he hits some big threes for stretches, the numbers don't quite back up what a high percentage he can knock it down at. So I think they're good. I think they'll be in the mix. I'm not ready to label them as a contender in the real deal conversation, especially how deep the West is.
All right, and you kind of hit on it a little bit earlier, but are the Knicks for real? The Knicks seem like they're for real this year.
They're certainly good. Karl Anthony Towns has been incredible and far better than I expected to be the case immediately. I mean, dominating rebounding wise. As of yesterday, he was second in the league in rebounds per game, trailing just Jokic there, hitting the ball, shooting 45% from three. He's been a perfect match for what they're hoping for. There's still some things to be worked out there. Mikal Bridges has been benched in a lot of closing lineups, which to me is more concerning than it seems to be that Knicks fans are regarding that is. I understand a win's a win and you probably don't care how you get there. OG Anunoby's been great, but I still think they're working through something. So they're going to be in the mix. They're a good team for sure, but I'm still not selling the stock of my anti-Knicks takes. I'll say that.
All right. Two more fast ones coming your way. Wemby dominating. Obviously, we know what he's able to do as far as the box score is concerned. The team is not good, though. Is there anything to read into that? Should they be better because they have Wemby out there, or are they just missing so much as far as the other positions are concerned? I just want to see the Spurs be better at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, this goes back to just how good the West is. Like, they're 12-12 on the year, so they're sitting at 11th place in the in the Western Conference. For reference, if they were 12-12 and in the East, they would be sitting in 7th place right now. So that's just kind of like the difference across that. There's a lot of talented teams in the West that I think is going to be competitive. I've been really impressed with what I've seen from Stephon Castle this year. I do think that in the long term, he's going to grow into that true partner with Wemby, and the Area 51 nickname that they're rocking is pretty dope between those two. Chris Paul still playing at a very high level somehow, and I'm very impressed with the way that he's opened things up for Wembanyama. So it may not be flourishing in the full way of these guys being like contenders, but I'm seeing signs of progress from the Spurs team. So I'm not worried about Wembanyama or the team in the long haul. It may not be happening at quite the rate that we were hoping. I know when you have like a freakish top tier talent, the way Wembanyama has deservingly been talked about since he's popped on the map here, you expect immediate success, but they're doing things the right way. They're building slowly. They're adding talents. They're starting to find a style of play. Devin Vassell, a huge part of that. Keldon Johnson, all these guys that kind of fit the mold here. So I'm still optimistic about the Spurs in the wider view.
All right. Final one here. Just a quick trip down the awards as far as DraftKings is concerned. MVP Joker's putting it on. Yep. I know this, and I meant to bring up the Nuggets, but they're struggling as a team, but Joker's still putting up some ridiculous numbers. He's minus 115 to win the MVP.
Wow.
Are we feeling like this is another Joker MVP season?
I can't dispute it based on how he's playing right now. Like, there's undoubtedly, like I kind of said this early on in the season and kind of hesitantly said it, it's undoubtedly at this point that he's more valuable to their team than he's ever been before. And just to lay out the numbers here, 32.3 points per game, 13.6 rebounds, which leads the NBA, 10.2 assists. He's shooting 56.1% from the field and 50% from beyond the three-point arc. And by the way, the longest three-point depth of any player in the league. That is, I believe 28.4 was the number I have. So most of his three-point shots coming from like notably beyond the arc. He's shooting 44 or 50% on 4.4 attempts per game. That's absurd stuff there. So yeah, I haven't been the biggest Nikola Jokic guy throughout my lifetime here. I can't argue with what he's doing. And I know we want to rush to pass the torch to make this a Luka Doncic versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, make that kind of the conversation. To me, we're still playing the hits. That to me, this is between Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo so far, just as it has been for really the past several years.
Rookie of the year, Jared McCain, minus 150. Dalton Connect, plus 450 on DK. Jared McCain just continuing to do what he's doing out there. This will be his award at the end of the year, correct?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest fear is just the level of opportunity that if Nick Nurse does put him in a box a little bit now that they are getting closer to fully healthy and see how that that was my biggest hesitancy with McCain from the beginning, is that I just feared that his role would not be big enough to ultimately win this award. He obviously has played far better than anyone expected, and due to injuries, received a massive opportunity. So somebody's going to have to take it from him. I have not seen that from anybody. We'll show a little love to Jalen Wells out there on the Memphis Grizzlies as well, who has been probably by my money's worth the best rookie over the past couple weeks. So I'm not saying it's a closed and shut deal, but I haven't seen anybody ready to go out and take it from McCain just yet. And we'll see how the role shakes out from here.
My Grady Dick most improved ticket at 16-1. I might as well throw that away if I believe in Dick here. 65-1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Should I just go ahead and scoop that up, or is that just a lost cause? Most improved, Jalen Williams plus 150. Jalen Johnson 6-1. Jalen Williams has been balling for OKC.
He has. He also, to me, is a guy that should fit the category of too good to win the award, is kind of how I perceived him coming into the season. So I've kind of had my frustrations about how this award is judged at this point. I mean, to be honest, I thought Tyrese Maxey should have been considered too good to win it last year, but obviously, like, give credit to Tyrese, took it home and deservingly so, was excellent. So I don't know. I think I have a hard time with this one. I think Jalen Johnson is deserving of it, and that would be my vote if I got one for it. I'm not saying absolutely 0% on Grady Dick there. He's still been very good, and a guy that electric to watch for stretches. He's a very good basketball player, I think, more than he gets credit there. So I wouldn't rip that ticket up, but I wouldn't be feeling overly optimistic there.
Who won the NBA Clutch Award last year? Off the top of your head, do you know?
I believe it was De'Aaron Fox.
Not Steph Curry?
I'm not sure. I'll fact check myself. That's what my gut said.
I've just Googled it. De'Aaron Fox, 22, 23, 23, 24, Steph Curry. So Fox was the year before. Okay. Right here, right now, Joker 3-1, plus 300 here. De'Aaron Fox 4-1, Tatum 8-1, Durant 15-1. Joker's putting up unbelievable numbers, right? Wouldn't you have to get, again, it's December 10th, but plus 300, that's a nice little chunk of change. Should we wager on that?
Yeah, and the exact definition of the award, it says the NBA Clutch Player of the Year award recognizes the player who best performs in clutch situations during the regular season. So pretty loose definition there that I'll say with that. I do think this is a more guard-oriented award that's kind of for the taking. That's just kind of what we see in today's modern NBA, and that's why big men have trouble when it is those clutch time, got to get a bucket and create something there. Jokic is certainly an exception to the rule there. And when you look around that Nuggets team, there's no more kind of Jamal Murray and Jokic two-man sets. It's basically Jokic just taking on the world and doing a pretty good job of it. So I wouldn't argue with you if you want to take it right now. Probably not something that I'm jumping on at this very moment. As great as Jokic has been, and we have a pretty long track record of it being basically this guy, I still feel like this is insane what he's doing. There's got to be some sort of at least some statistical step back here, but who knows? Maybe he could prove me wrong.
The Joker don't believe in regression, Sean Barnard. Come on. That's what and imagine if he actually liked the game, right?
It's insane.
Sean Barnard, you are the best, man, all the way around the league. Nobody knows the NBA better than you, my friend. Great stuff there, getting us caught up again. Sixers in action on Friday, tonight, and tomorrow, the NBA Cup. Make sure you check out everything DraftKings has to offer. And oh, by the way, DK Nation is where you can find Sean Barnard's content from a DraftKings Sportsbook, as well as he's representing the team. Sean Barnard is heading to Piscataway tonight. Are you going with beef? Is it Beef and Barnard trip to Rutgers and Penn State? Where was my invite? Let's go. 3.5. Actually, now we have movement. Rutgers, 3-point favorites. You guys taking a side here?
Unfortunately, not legal to bet on Rutgers in New Jersey, so no wagering from me on tonight's game that will be in attendance at. But kind of interesting how that's the laws there. But very excited to take in Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper up in the right focus here. Two guys that are pretty much surefire top 5 NBA picks here, at the minimum top 10. I'm a little bit of an Ace Bailey skeptic, so I'm excited to see him up close and personal and seeing if he can change my mind. Don't dig the shot selection, and not a guy that has pretty much any sort of playmaking chops. But on the other side of things, Dylan Harper, I think, is every bit of that guy. So excited to see these two up close and personal in action. This will be my first time taking a game in at Rutgers, so very excited to pop up there and see what it's about. And me and Beef making the trip up there.
I love it. Dylan Harper, also a name for a porn star too, just to let you know. So be careful when you're Googling that, kids. I did see that he's like a top 10 player right now in college basketball, courtesy of the Field of 68. Sean, great stuff. Thank you very much for a couple minutes today. Safe travels up the way to Piscataway. Enjoy the games, and we'll catch up tomorrow. Talk some more NBA Cup.
Perfect. Sounds good. I'll talk to you next time, Brace.
My man, there he is, Sean Barnard, getting us caught up in all things association like nobody else out there. All right. Hey, look, we do have a lot going on in the world of sports, specifically here in Philadelphia. Hot stove. Oh, yeah. Don't touch that stove. Don't get burned by it. Phillies are doing so much right now that it could just grease. If there's hot grease in a pan, it might just be splattering everywhere. I kid. Juan Soto signed, and I can't stop thinking about it. That money, there's no doubt in my mind that he will play. He's not playing all 15 years with the Mets. It's essentially a 5-year deal. So I don't really get caught up with the money. Who knows if he stays there longer? It's just insane to where we're at right now to get that type of money to play baseball. And you know what? AJ Brzezinski said from the show that he does, I forget the damn Foul Territory. He was like, I've never tuned into a game because of Juan Soto. It got me thinking. He said he would tune into a game for Mookie Betts. He tuned into a game for Aaron Judge. He tuned into a game for Mike Trout, for Harper. All true. There have been times that I've tuned into a Nationals game for Juan Soto. But I can't sit here and tell you that I did it for the Yankees. I can't tell you that I did it for the Padres. I don't know. He is a damn good player. I know that. And the Mets lineup got better. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of holes, a lot of flaws with that Mets lineup. We're going to talk some Mets, Juan Soto. But the focus will be on the Phillies. What have they done? What will they do after the hot stove and the winter meetings are done this week with Luke Arcaini? He covers the Phillies and MLB for us here on The Gambler. He joins me on the other side. More after this.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Want to improve your health, energy, and longevity? Discover the secret to better health with Viome. It's the world's most advanced microbiome test, and you can take it from the comfort of your own home. Viome is the only company that uses RNA technology to tell you how your body reacts to food. More than 370 foods, in fact. And food is the key. If you eat and avoid the right ones, food can be your medicine. Viome's AI technology creates a personalized plan that tells you exactly that, because some healthy foods may not actually be good for you. Like 50% of people should avoid spinach. Are you eating right and still unable to lose weight, feeling moody, or having mental fog? Maybe it's spinach. Test and find out. Viome is also the only company that can create customized supplements based on your unique biology to help you improve specific areas of health. Go to Viome.com to learn more and get $110 off any test using code IHEART. Viome, the future of health is here.
With its new look and taste, Dasani is always crisp, clean, and refreshing. So, when thirst calls, answer with the new refreshed taste of Dasani water, now without salt. Learn more at Dasani.com.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
If you don't get health insurance from your job, get the lowest cost on high-quality health coverage now through Penny, PA's health insurance marketplace. All health plans cover preventive care, and 9 out of 10 customers qualify for financial savings. Enroll by December 15th at penny.com.
This is Katina Mobley. This is what's trending from iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Eagles defensive end Brandon Graham is walking back comments about a frayed relationship between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, saying he had it wrong. The Flyers, they're back in action tonight when they visit Columbus. Phillies riding a 3-game skid in which they've allowed 15 goals. And Colorado two-way star Travis Hunter and Boise State running back Ashton Genty headline this year's Heisman Trophy finalists. I'm Scott Davidson.
Celebrate the journeys that bring us closer together with an exclusive offer on a vehicle you'll adore at the Mercedes-Benz Holiday Love Celebration, going on now through January 2nd. Learn more at mbusa.com/special offers.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
We're here on the Schuylkill westbound University Divine and City to Belmont. Eastbound, so Blue Route to Gladwood and approaching Girard to South. 95 northbound backed up Girard to Bridge Street. Southbound heavy Carpenter Bridge. Tutela total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Shop limited time deals on last minute gifts now at Lowe's. Save $50 on a Warner 6-foot aluminum step ladder. Plus get select Craftsman V20 tools for only $39. Offers valid 12/5 through 12/11 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my hair instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Ever find holiday shopping overwhelming? We've got to figure out what they want and then find it all too. Enter Kohl's. They have the best gifts all in one spot. The toys your kids have been asking for, the silk PJs she's been eyeing, and the stylish sweater he'll love. And you can get 20% off some of your gifts during their customer appreciation event. Yep, holiday shopping at Kohl's is the move. Let's start. Offers end December 15th. Some exclusions apply. Coupons do not apply to toys. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
This holiday season, visit Boot Barn for top quality gifts that pay tribute to the lasting heritage of the West. From handcrafted cowboy boots and American-made felt hats to leather jackets, our in-store experts will help guide you as you shop, assisting with boot fitting and providing complimentary hat shaping. This holiday, share a piece of the American spirit. Boot Barn. Unwrap the West.
At Harbor Freight, our low prices make us the place for gifts that keep on giving. Because when you give the gift of quality tools, you're giving someone the ability to fix, restore, and build for years to come. And with savings like these, you can even get something for yourself. Whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight. Stop by and give yourself the gift of great prices.
With Progressive, you get more than savings. You get access to us through our mobile app, online chat, or by phone.
Oh, I see what you're doing here, Jamie. Giving me all these ways to stay in touch so I have no excuse not to. Well, you're in luck, because this guy's in the market for a new BFF.
Actually, all our customers can contact us this way.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just kidding.
But I am always up for Taco Pizza! Jigsaw!
Get help from Progressive through the website, app, chat, or phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Your home for Villanova basketball is WDAS and WD273D. Fox Sports Radio, Philadelphia.
So hot in here. So hot in. Oh. Want a little bit of and a little bit of. I was like, good gracious, ass bodacious, flirtatious, trying to show patience. I'm waiting for the right time to shoot my steam, waiting for the right time to flash them keys, and I'm leaving, please believe in, me and the rest of my heathens, checking out a lock at the top of the 4 seasons, penthouse, rooftop, birds I'm feeding, no deceiving, nothing up my sleeving, no.
The hot stove is on. Yes, the winter meetings are taking place. Major League Baseball front and center for everybody. with the Juan Soto deal that just came down, yesterday, the day before? My goodness. Unbelievable the amount of money that the Mets are paying Juan Soto. And from the standpoint of, yes, is it worth the money? Is he worth the money? Yes, he is an incredible hitter, a guy that is going to make your lineup better. Not the best defender, though, if we're honest with ourselves. And one of the things that was brought to my attention, I don't know if you were listening to this earlier, but AJ Brzezinski from Foul Territory. Brzezinski? Yeah, I'm saying it right. I didn't think it right. Yeah. He said something on Foul Territory that like he's never tuned into a game to watch Juan Soto play. Like Juan Soto's playing, great. He's a hell of a player. But there wasn't a time where he's like, hey man, I gotta watch that game for Juan Soto. It put the light bulb on my head. And I don't know if that matters in the grand scheme of things to Steve Cohen and the New York Mets front office, but should it? Because I know I tune in for Shohei Ohtani. He's worth the price of admission. Mike Trout over the years, Bryce Harper, so on and so. Mookie Betts. We can go down the list. But Juan Soto, there have been games I've tuned in to watch him play. But Luke, what do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, if there's a random baseball game on and Juan Soto's playing in it, I'm going to turn it on. But the thing with this contract is like, I can sort of get the loser mentality out of the way and say it's too much money. Because realistically, if you think about it, there's not a single athlete in this world that's worth $765 million. But
LeBron.
Yeah, well, Juan Soto's contract is $20 million less than LeBron and Tom Brady's combined career earnings.
It's crazy, yeah.
So,
I would say, and even then, it's a Shohei is definitely the number one guy because he does everything.
Yeah,
but LeBron is underpaid.
Oh, I mean,
Clearly.
yeah,
Clearly.
but it also comes down to the fact too that like now, like if you give a guy that much money, like he has to be the best player in the league. Like you can't pay a guy $765 million and say, all right, go be a top 10 player, top 15 player for the next 10 years. He has to be the best, second best or best player in the league every single year if you're getting paid that much money. $51 million a year, $765 million until I'm, I think, like 39 years old. It's bizarre to think about. I mean, deep down, I think we all knew that the Mets were never going to get outbid. But it does say a lot that he could have went back to the Yankees for basically the same price. It seems like the Yankees didn't want to go any higher than they were. I believe they were at 15 years, 760. So that came out to about 48 a year. But I mean, it seems like he either one, he wanted to be a Met, or two, he just wanted more money. He wanted $3 million more a year to now be probably one of the biggest enemies in the history of the Yankees. So that's going to be, I will say this, the Subway series is going to be must-watch television now every single time it's on. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. You know, AJ's got to be honest about that. Will he be tuning into Mets games to watch him play now? Right. And that's probably like, okay, let's talk a little bit about the lineup for the Mets and what they have right now. I don't think they're done.
No.
I think Steve Cohen is a sicko.
Tell you what, because if they're done, that team's not that good. I'll tell you, like, I'm serious. Like, if they ran out the team that they have right now, I think Clay Holmes would transition from the bullpen to their number 2 starter. Like,
wow,
they lost Severino. Manaya's on free agent market. It would be Kodai Senga, and then Clay Holmes, Quinton. Like, and I mean, if you go down this potential lineup right now, you have a lineup of Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Mark Vientos, and then Brandon Nimmo.
Pretty good.
That's a good top 4, right?
And Vientos, could he come back down to earth? He's a good player. I don't want to discount him, but we'll see.
And I will say that this projected lineup right now does have Vientos moving over to first because as of right now they don't have a first baseman. But after that, I mean, Starling Marte, Francisco Alvarez, Jeff McNeil, Jose Siri, Brett Bates. Like it's it's not that good of a lineup. Like,
I agree.
It's a good top four. They didn't have a good bullpen last year. They signed one guy that was a reliever, and now he's supposed to be a starter for them. And their rotation is basically torn apart from last year. Like, that's the thing. They can hand out $765 million to whoever they want. If they don't keep going, they're going to finish third in the NL East. Like, it's pretty simple because their team's still not like that good. I mean, obviously they added the star power, and I mean, you could make a case that Lindor Soto is the best superstar duo in the league. But just one or two guys don't win you a championship. I think we've sort of seen that the last few years with the Phillies. And I think that's why, once again, they're still very, very far behind the Dodgers. The Dodgers are like incredibly deeper than them. And if they faced off against them today with these rosters, they would get smoked.
What is your outlook on Vientos? One more, because, looking at his numbers, third season last year in the bigs, he got a cup of coffee in 22, 23 played 65 games, 211 average. Last year played 111 games, 266, finished with 27 home runs. Let's see. I thought I saw some. Nope, not stolen bases, none. And then from the postseason, we of course know what he did there. 327 average, 5 bombs. He really shined in the postseason. The outlook, though, for Vientos switching over to first base next season for the Mets.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I think they'll get a first baseman. I think Vientos switching is definitely on the table because I think that can that'll fall into the elongate the career, even though he's only 24. And if you're going to move him to first base eventually, I would say you might as well do it now. But yeah, I mean, he had a sick 2024 season. He had like an 830 something OPS, like you said. I just think the Mets are definitely hoping that wasn't like a 1-year wonder kind of thing. Because if you go look at the 2 years before, he was like really, really bad. He was honestly like one of the worst players in all of baseball for 2022 and 2023. He had like a 58 OPS plus in 2022. He hit 167. He hit a 360 slugging percentage in 2023. Last year was like definitely an outlier. And I mean, if that is like the step forward that he's taking and he's going to hit like that for the next 5-10 years, then he's going to be that third star for the Mets. But they definitely are hoping that that's the Vientos they get, because if they go in the next season thinking those are their 3 best players and he hits anything like he did those first 2 seasons, I think the Mets, once again, they're going to be in a little trouble.
All right. Enough of the Mets conversation. A lot of people are tuning in. They want to hear what's going on with the Titans and what's next for them. Yesterday, Jordan Romano from the Toronto Blue Jays, $8.5 million deal for the Phillies. I assume that he will now be the closer heading into next season. It will be a closer by committee. What does this bullpen look like? Hoffman gone, Estevez gone. Where do we stand with the Phillies bullpen with the addition of Romano in your mind?
Yeah, so I think if Romano sort of gets back to as dominant as he was from 2020 to 2023, I think he would probably finish with the most saves next year. I mean, he had like 95 saves in 3 seasons for the Blue Jays. So he was one of the best back-end relievers in the entire sport from 2020 to 2023. Last year was
to do that in. Tough division
exactly,
to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yankees, the Rays were really good at the time. The Red Sox definitely had a rough 2024. He had a 6.59 in like 15 games. Obviously, he had the surgery on the right elbow. He tried to make a comeback, but the Blue Jays didn't really think it was worth it. They were out of it at the time, so they didn't really think much of it. And then, so it is an $8 million deal with a $500K incentive if he pitches 60 innings, I believe. So I'm all over this move. I think I said this last night to Sean Barnard. I don't think this team, and I don't think Dave Dombrowski would have signed this guy if they didn't know that he was 100% healthy. They saw some footage of him right after the season throwing, and they said he looks healthy. He looks ready to go. And if you get a guy who had a consistent 2.1 ERA out of a saver spot for 3 years in the major leagues for an $8 million deal, that has a chance to turn into one of the nicer deals in the league. as long as he sort of gets back to that way. As far as Jeff Hoffman, I still think the Phillies want to bring him back. I still think he wants to be back. The only issue is if a team is really set on trying to move him to a starter, and if he does want that, because there has been some rumors floating around there that he may want to try to be a starter again. I don't think that would really be great for him. I think the best situation would be to stay in the bullpen. The biggest success of his entire career was out of the bullpen the last 2 years for the Phillies. When he was a starter out with the Rockies and the Reds, he was bad. He was a really bad arm until he got to Philly. So I think the Phillies want to bring him back. I really, really want him back. I still think the Phillies need to get one more bullpen arm. I don't think there was a comment from Dombrowski yesterday, and I think the tweet kind of sort of made Dombrowski look worse because when you hear that quote just written out, it doesn't seem as good. But if you watch the video from Dombrowski, he said that they're content right now with their bullpen, but it did seem like he was sort of really wanting one more. So I think one more would be Hoffman. If not, I would love it to be. I don't think it'll be Estevez. I think he's a Yankee. If I had to guess, he seems like a Yankee. There's been some rumors there for him. I would love Tanner Scott. That's sort of my guy. If it's not Hoffman, I would love Tanner Scott. I would love another lefty. But at this point in time, I do think that there will be one more reliever.
All right. Well, it's hot stove season. Winter meetings are taking place. It's only December. We got a long way to go until spring training, but the Phillies need to make some moves, right? Yeah. Last year was not good enough. And I, on top of new moves, I would say maybe a different approach at the dish might go a long way, but I don't know how easy that is to install into professional hitters that have been doing this their whole life. Again, this team was great all the way through, and then we know what took place in the playoffs. One of those contributors who had a great season last year, a little bit down the stretch, was not so strong of a player for the Phillies. Of course, got benched in that playoff game, whether what was true and what was not. But Alec Boehm is who I'm discussing. I pull up sportingnews.com, and they're just assuming that he is going to get dealt. He is going to get moved. One of the teams that they're listing that will have interest is the New York Yankees, of all places. I don't know if he's with Aaron Dolan anymore. I don't even know if he ever was. Was that confirmed?
No, he definitely was. But
hopefully he still is. If he's a smart man, I'm sure he was going to like that too. New York Yankee pinstripe. Anyways, moving on. Alec Boehm, is it a bad thing if he comes back? Do you want to see him back? What type of players could he fetch? How good is Alec Boehm in the eyes of general managers across the league in Major League Baseball, Luke?
Yeah, so I don't necessarily want to just ship Boehm to ship him out. I don't think that would be smart. I still think there's a good amount of good baseball in there. I will say this: the playoff stuff in the back half of the year was definitely concerning. So he obviously did have that the little hand injury back in like August, September. I think that definitely affected him a little bit, but the back half of the year in the playoffs definitely wasn't a good thing, I think, for the future. I didn't love the sort of vibes around everything. It seemed like Thompson was just like, get him out of the lineup. The whiny stuff with Boehm in the playoffs was just irking me to no end. But at the same time, I still think he's a good baseball player. There's value there for him. I think teams know that. There has been some reports that some teams are a little iffy, obviously, on that like second half of the season. But I still think there's definitely a market for him. I do think he gets moved. I don't necessarily know where. I know obviously he could potentially be in that White Sox deal if they were to go for Crochet. If the Astros were to lose Bregman, I think that could possibly be a spot. There was a rumor about the A's. There's been a few teams so far that have kind of shown interest. Obviously, the Royals had the interest before they made their trade a few weeks ago. But there's definitely some sort of market for him. I'm not in the boat just to ship him out. because I don't think that would be smart. He's young. He's still on a small contract. And I mean, he gave you 97 RBIs last year. He hit like 300 with runners in scoring position. Like, he's not a bad baseball player. The last month and a half of his season were really bad, but the first 3 months were also really good. So I think it's tricky. I think there's definitely some sides to both. I think there's an argument for both sides. But if it came down to it and the right deal was there, I think the Phillies would probably pull the trigger. But at the same time, they do have to know sort of what his replacement is, because obviously if he goes, you need a third baseman. Aiden Miller's not ready yet. Alex Bregman wants like a 9-year deal. You're going to have to maybe find some sort of like a placeholder for like a 2-year contract until Aiden Miller's ready. Unless you want to go all in. I don't think they want to give Alex Bregman 9 years. But there's going to be options for them. It's just a matter of what their plan is, because they obviously have Aiden Miller, and I think that's his spot sort of once he's ready.
Luke Arcaini joining us here. Make sure you get all of his content over at Crossing Broad, covering the Phillies and Major League Baseball for the folks over at crossingbroad.com. Joins us weekly here, and hot stove season is on the move. Of course, winter meetings taking place right now, and a lot of rumors are out there, and it's just great getting baseball back on the timeline again, right? I know I don't have to explain that to you, but of course, Juan Soto obviously started us off on a hell of a foot. It took over headlines from an NFL Sunday, which tells you all you need to know. Of course,
one way to get
the amount of money, it's going to do that. But continuing to see the rumors, and this is always a good thing. This is what made the NBA so popular over the years, is the drama and the what ifs and possibly the moves and the super teams. And I don't know if that's going to be the case here, but again, from the Phillies perspective, there are a couple names that are being discussed out there. We just hit on Alec Boehm. Let's talk about Castellanos right now. I love Nick Castellanos, right? We all love Nick Castellanos. I don't think Nick Castellanos lived up to that contract. I think he played 162, which is great. He's not the best right fielder. He's improved, but he's not the best right fielder. He's a good clubhouse guy. I understand it, but he's getting paid more to produce than to be just a clubhouse guy. Only 23 bombs last year. I think they can do better. Would it be a bad move for the Phillies? And again, I know the caveat is, what do they get in return? But I think it's a little easier to replace a right fielder. Am I wrong on that than a third baseman? Your take on that?
There's
be
right
a wrong
fielders
move for the Phillies to move Nick Castellanos this offseason?
If they called Houston and they tried to go after Tucker, if they wanted Kyle Tucker, and I would send just about everybody for Kyle Tucker. That is a guy that, if there was one winner, and I saw this tweet yesterday, if there was one winner across Major League Baseball because of the Juan Soto contract, it's Tucker. He's a free agent next year. He had a higher OPS plus last year than Juan Soto. He is going to get paid next offseason, big time. So if that was possibly on the table, I know the Astros they've sort of been floating around him. They've been floating around Framber. It seems like they want to get rid of one of the two, if possible. If the Phillies had any chance to get Kyle Tucker, I think that would be where Castellanos would go. You have to sort of unload some money. But I don't think they would trade Castellanos to just bring in like a small market right fielder. I think Castellanos would only be in a big time trade for money. If there was a huge contract, like if it was like a Kyle Tucker trade or a Trout trade, that sort of thing is where you have to send Castellanos just because of his contract. But I don't expect them to like trade Castellanos for like a starting pitcher or like trade him for a reliever. It would be more for some big name outfielder, I would say.
All right. Well, definitely has my attention. Of course, the Phillies have to improve. They were a great team last year, and they just came up short. And in the big time moments of the playoffs, obviously everybody wants the exact answer and why. And I don't know if that's going to get, solved just by making some moves, but it could ultimately propel them to be in a better baseball team this upcoming season. Spring training's right around the corner, man. I was already looking at some trips down there in March. Man, I want to get back down there in Clearwater. Yeah, oh man.
Real quick before we go, too, I do have one name for you. I want you to keep an eye out on. Chicago, Seiya Suzuki. That is a name that has been shopped by Chicago. He said he doesn't want to be a DH. He wants to continue to be in the outfield. The Phillies need a left fielder. Chicago wants to deal him. He's a really good hitter. He's only 30. That's a name I think could potentially be on their way in if the Phillies were looking for a left fielder on the trade market. I will say this. I think it's more likely at this point that the Phillies make a big trade than a big signing. I think whether that would be the Crochet trade or this Suzuki trade, the only real big signing I would see is for a relief pitcher. Whether it would be Scott, Hoffman, Estevez. I don't see them trading for a reliever, but I see them trading for a left fielder. Suzuki could be a name. I still think Anthony Santander, even though I think he's a Yankee. But I would probably say, hey, Suzuki is sort of the one to keep an eye out for right now.
Any shot Mike Trout gets moved?
I don't think so. I think that's that conversation we have every year, and it just never happens. I think
doesn't seem like he wants to.
I think he's content with making his money in LA and just missing the playoffs every year, which stinks. But hey,
does have a nice golf course.
Oh, he does. He does. Yeah.
Very nice. I heard about that. You know, Mike Powers played that course.
Yeah, he didn't even ask me.
Yeah, it's messed up. He didn't ask me either.
It's messed up.
But you're right down the road, so you get a little bit better of an invite. All right. Once again, everything that Luke writes can be found at crossingabroad.com. You can find him at Arcaini Luke on socials. We'll see. There's going to be a lot of discussion over these next few weeks as we get a little bit into the new year. And, of course, with spring training right around the corner, everyone's going to want to know, are they a better team this year? And can they have a little bit more expectations? We'll see what Dave Dombrowski and company have in plan in store over these next few weeks, especially to close up shop in the winter meetings. Luke, always great to get you on, my friend. And I was trying to think like, hey, man, we should talk a little birds real quick, but that's all right. We're up against it. Next time we will mix it in. We'll get everything going because Luke does it all. And be sure to follow him at Arcaini Luke. Tremendous follow, crossingbroad.com for all things baseball. Luke, always a pleasure, sir.
Sir, thank you, Sean.
My man, there he is. Once again, Luke Arcaini joining me on the Gambler stream. All right, so we'll keep it moving here. I will get into some birds on the other side, talk some NFL as well. Look, the big talking point from the Eagles' perspective is here we go again. I just don't view it. I don't think that's the case. And I also have a take on what exactly Brandon Graham said yesterday and why he said it. I'll give you that on the other side. It's the Daily Ticket back after this.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Providence, South Jersey, and Collingswood, Haddon Avenue, blocked Woodlawn Avenue and Knight Avenue for emergency utility work. 42 south, that's heavy off the Walt Whitman down to Creek Road. We're on the 95 northbound from the Vine Expressway up the bridge. Southbound heavy between Cottman Bridge and Ridley Park to the Commodore Barry. Westbound Schuylkill, Jan University to Vine and City to Belmont. Eastbound stop and go Blue Route to Belmont, Montgomery Drive to South. Blue Route southbound lays Broomall to Media Swarthmore and northbound 95 past McDade. Wire to tell total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Pearl's California-grown black ripe olives.
Martha Quinn here. It's time to rock Pearl's 100% California-grown black ripe olives. Now better than ever, Pearl's black ripe olives have nothing added but sea salt and water. No artificial colors or preservatives. For quality you can trust, look for the sunny yellow can at your local grocery store.
This is your Tuesday Sports Minute, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
After a thrilling Monday night game last night, the NFL now gets ready for Week 15, which kicks off on Thursday night in the Bay Area. The 6-7 49ers play host to the 7-6 Los Angeles Rams. The Rams winners of 2 straight, only a game back of Seattle in the NFC West. The 49ers starting to get healthy. Brock Purdy's been back for 2 games now, a quarterback. They're a 2.5-point home favorite. Over-under total points is 48.5. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. Over-under total passing yards, 243.5. He's reached that number of passing yards in 6 of his last 7 games.
New BetMGM customers can download the app today using code MINUTE to receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if they don't win their first bet. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus to wager. New customer offer subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Want to improve your health, energy, and longevity? Discover the secret to better health with Viome. It's the world's most advanced microbiome test, and you can take it from the comfort of your own home. Viome is the only company that uses RNA technology to tell you how your body reacts to food. More than 370 foods, in fact. And food is the key. If you eat and avoid the right ones, food can be your medicine. Viome's AI technology creates a personalized plan that tells you exactly that, because some healthy foods may not actually be good for you. Like 50% of people should avoid spinach. Are you eating right and still unable to lose weight, feeling moody, or having mental fog? Maybe it's spinach. Test and find out. Viome is also the only company that can create customized supplements based on your unique biology to help you improve specific areas of health. Go to Viome.com to learn more and get $110 off any test using code IHEART. Viome, the future of health is here.
With its new look and taste, Dasani is always crisp, clean, and refreshing. So, when thirst calls, answer with the new refreshed taste of Dasani water, now without salt. Learn more at Dasani.com.
Febreze.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
It's your last chance to snag Dell Technologies' lowest prices of the year before the holidays. The future is on sale today with limited time deals on select PCs like the XPS 16 that accelerate AI with Intel Core Ultra processors. This is their biggest sale of the year and the best time to upgrade, but it's only here for a limited time. Shop now at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com. You know, it's 2024. 2025 is 20 days away. Terrell Owens and really? FredEx? You guys are still talking about McNabb? Really? Really? This is... Come on, man. Like, you guys look foolish. I know that these Eagle fans are getting your DMs or in the threads and be like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you're talking... Like, dude, grow up, man. I don't think you guys ever will. Just weird to me, man. Very weird that here we are talking about 2004 issues 20 years later with the Venom. These guys just went live on Instagram. I saw our friends over at the Liberty Line had it. Like, Freddie Mitchell is laying in bed talking to T.O. in a car, and they're talking about Donovan McNabb from 20 years ago. I'm not like the biggest McNabb supporter, don't get me wrong, but you guys look like toddlers with this whole deal. Very strange, but that's who they are. And T.O. was a tremendous player, and you can't take anything away from him. But there were some times, of course, over his career that he was his own worst enemy. And even afterwards, I know that there was plenty of off the field issues or, stuff that came post career. Freddie Mitchell, though, just, you want to talk about a grifter, right? Like, that dude is the definition. And we did some stuff with Freddie, and he ended up getting some trouble when he was here, believe it or not, years ago. I know that I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but bottom line is just very strange. And I know Freddie's still here in Philly. Like, it's so funny. You'll be watching a Sixers game, and there's Freddie Mitchell front row. How? Like, do people love old school Eagles that much? They're like, here, Freddie, Here's a pair of tickets to go see the Sixers tonight, front row. Just strange to me. Anyways, nobody cares what took place 20 years ago. Give it up and move on, would you? Go do something good with your time. Anyways, of course, the Eagles front and center with the drama that, look, I didn't think anything of it, of what Jalen said to the media, to the question that he answered with one word. And I didn't think anything of it with Jalen Hurts, with A.J. Brown when he answered the question one word. And then I didn't think anything of it with Jalen Hurts, what he said to the media. I said that yesterday on the show. I don't look at that as drama. I look at that as two grown-ass men. They got to figure it out. The passing game hasn't been needed as much, and the numbers aren't there. And A.J. Brown is going to voice his opinion. Now, when everything is going well and he's getting a couple catches and they're blowing teams up, that's great, but they almost lost that game on Sunday. A.J. could have helped out a lot. Give him an opportunity to make some plays. Get him the ball. There's a promo that's running. That was my big take yesterday, was just allow him to be a part of the game plan. If there's 65 plus snaps and Saquon Barkley is going to get 20 to 25 touches, you got to figure out how you're going to get the other players involved. And that next guy up would be A.J. Brown. And I know I'm making it very simple, from the standpoint of coaching and play calling, but damn it, he's too good not to be involved like that. And so I'm on AJ's side with this, but I'm not really pinpointing the blame on Jalen. As a whole, the coaching staff needs to, voice and say, get him the rock any way you can. And if it's on Jalen from the standpoint he's not reading the defenses or whatever it may be, maybe a little too cautious, which is a good thing in my mind. We need Sirianni and Kellen Moore to be the leaders that they're being paid to be. That's all. I know Jalen Hurts got a ton of money, all that. I understand. But, man, they're winning football games. That's the bottom line. And Jalen is the quarterback of a team right now that has won 9 straight. Like, we cannot create this negative energy, these stupid drama-filled takes, and expect something good to come from it. No. And I'm not asking things to be kumbaya. I told you that yesterday. These are alphas. These are competitors. These are professionals making a lot of money. Legacies on the line. And this team is too damn good to go out there and squeak by the Carolina Panthers as 14-point favorites at home on Sunday at 1 o'clock. They know that. We know that. I expect a better performance against the Steelers this week. Let's find out if we've had any movement. Now, I have not even fired up the DraftKings card for NFL Week 15. Unbelievable, man. We got the Army-Navy game coming up on Saturday. We just cruised right by football season. Slow down. Oh, by the way, bowl season is here. The GBC, baby, is here. Gambler Bowl Challenge. And, folks, we have our first sponsor. This gentleman is a big fan of what we do here on the Daily Ticket / The Gambler. Colin Good from Compass Real Estate, your real estate agent, official sponsor for the GBC, the Gambler Bowl Challenge. 41 bowl games. I got some really big names in the sports media, sports gambling media, local media, and, of course, the gambler talent. And we're all going to be competing for the great prize, the Gambler Bowl Challenge belt. Dustin Sweetelson has it out in Veasan. Who will win it this year? We'll find out come January 20th when we have that national championship game. That's probably going to be Notre Dame versus Arizona State. Oh, not kidding. I don't know if Notre Dame's going to get there. I think Notre Dame Penn State's going to face off, though, but we'll save that for another time. Anyways, thank you to Colin Good. Thank you very much. We will be firing everything on socials. Keep up as far as the standings are concerned on all of our socials at foxbhlgambler.com. And once again, if you are in the market, whether you're buying, selling, looking to move in this upcoming year in 2025, springtime right around the corner. Right? That's when the real estate market starts going in the right direction. People are buying houses. We got a new president taking office that's going to fix everything, apparently. You know what? You're going to be looking for a new house. Colin Good is your real estate agent. All right? So shout out to Colin for teaming up with us here on the Gambler for the Gambler Bowl Challenge Year 4. All right, quickly on this, though, just to let you know, as far as spreads are concerned, 425 on Sunday. There are 4 other games with the Eagles, 5 total games going off at 425 on Sunday. I don't know if I view that as a good thing, but definitely different. Steelers and Eagles are one of those 5s, and currently no movement on the line. I did see a 4.5 out there in Vegas. Now still holding steady at 5 on DraftKings Sportsbook. 42.5 is your total there. Really going to show me something from the standpoint of the Steelers. I know what I need to know about the Eagles. I'm still learning week by week about the Steelers. That defense, I do believe, makes them a contender. So I'm wondering what the Eagles are going to be able to do on offense. If Saquon Barkley and that offensive line can control the line of scrimmage like they have been week in, week out, then I do believe that the Eagles will continue to dominate the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, by the way, who have not won in Philadelphia since 1965. Long time ago. Anyways, 5-point spread, 42.5 is your total there. Quickly on this, we'll go down to card. Thursday night football game. We got a game of substance, of meaning. 49ers have to win this game if they want any shot at locking up the division or winning the division. Rams catching 2.5 on the road in the Bay. 49ers are total. That is a very intriguing game. Have to go back and look at some history because those two coaches know each other very well. Off the top of my head, I believe that Shanahan has gotten the best of McVay. I believe. If I had to guess, I would say Shanahan has won more games in this series than McVay. Because Jimmy G, remember, they won a few games. They had more success in the playoffs. Now, the Rams obviously actually won the Super Bowl, but still, I would give the edge slightly to Shanahan and the 49ers. I'll have to look that up. But right here, right now, 49ers are beat up. Defensively hurting. A bunch of players are hurt. Offensively, down to their third back. And, man, he's pretty damn good as well. He got hurt. Guerrero got hurt in that game. I have to look up what the hell happened with him and whether or not he's going to be out there. And it's always funky with the Thursday short week turnaround because the practices aren't the same. When Wednesday practice comes out there, if a guy isn't out there, I don't get too carried away with whether or not he'll be playing. But, of course, if you're playing on Thursday, he's not practicing tomorrow, that's a huge damn deal. So we'll have to update everything along those lines tomorrow on the daily ticket. But 2.5 right now, 49 is our total in that one. Ravens and Giants. How far down are the New York Giants? 15-point home dogs. That was once a proud franchise. That was once a team that you would look at and go, you know what? They got it working over there in New York, Jersey. Not anymore. And you got people flying planes over the stadium, blow it all up. That might be in their best interest just to fire everybody. General manager, of course, coach. But I don't know. And of course, if they're going to go after a quarterback, it might be in their best interest not to go down the path of the Chicago Bears and just clean house and get a new quarterback in there. And, of course, see what you can do this upcoming season and start to build. But a lot of holes, but they do have some pretty good rookies. Neighbors is a real deal. So we'll see how that one plays out in this offseason. But, man, 15-point home dogs. That's atrocious. The Commanders, 7.5-point road favorites. 43 is your total. Of course, Carr getting hurt. And I want to give a shout-out to him because I did see something from the New Orleans Saints put out on their social media. Carr had a concussion, a broken hand. His season's done, essentially. He was hurt for the second time. And then yesterday, which was Monday, the day after, he was at a children's hospital, sitting at a table, and it doesn't strike me as a photo op, let's put it that way. And that's the cool things, man. A lot of these players can just change. You saw it last night with the Monday Night Football, how they had a bunch of those Bengal fans that were Joe Burrow fans. And the kids were going through some serious leukemia for the second time. And it's just tough. It's tough. And if you could give them just one day a win like that, where they're hanging out with a professional football player, it's something they'll remember for the rest of their life. So really cool stuff to see Carr do that. Anyways, Commanders, 7.5-point road favorites on the road in New Orleans. Chiefs back at it Hopefully this won't be a one-score game. We might be singing a different tune if they can't blow out the Browns. They're 4-point road favorites. 45 is our total. No, I am not riding the Jameis experience this week. No. No, I can't do it. I have bet Jameis Winston too many damn times for me to get back on that train.
I know I'm better than this. I know. I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes.
Dolphins and Texans. Texans 3-point favorites at home. 47 is your total there. Dolphins with a big time win. Man, they had 2 wins before week 10. Think about that. They've turned it around. They might actually make the playoffs. We'll see. But that's a big spot for the Houston Texans, who have not lived up to the hype this year. Bengals and Titans in the Who Gives a Damn Bowl. But there are a lot of people out there that are still believing the Bengals are going to make the playoffs. I had people on the timeline yesterday. Stop it. Please make it stop. They're 5-point road favorites. 47 is your total in that one. 1 o'clock, Jets and Jags. Wow. We got a lot of Who Gives a Damn Bowls going on this Sunday. Jets 3-point road favorites in Jacksonville. 40.5 is our total there. Dallas and Carolina. 2.5-point favorites. Carolina at home. I believe that stopped a streak of 36 straight games where they were an underdog. They are a favorite this week. 2.5-point home favorites against the Cowboys. You got to take the Panthers. I didn't think Cooper Rush was that bad, but he is that bad. The Bengals ate him up yesterday. Colts and Broncos. Broncos 4-point favorites at home. People are saying the Colts are alive. A dog. We'll see. Buccaneers and Chargers. Chargers 3-point home favorites. Bucs have a lot to play for, man. But the Chargers showed me a little fight in that game against Kansas City. Justin Herbert's going to be dinged up, though. So something to keep your eye on there. 45.5 is our total there. Bills and Lions. Game being played in Detroit. Probably the game of the day. Putting the Eagles and the Steelers to the side. Lions, 2.5-point home favorites. 54.5 is our total in that one. Do we get something like we just got in L.A.? 44-42? Can we get that type of battle? If you made me make a selection right now, I think I might back the Bills. No. Would I? I might back the Bills. That's a tough game to pick, but man, 54.5. That might be a same game parlay star right there. Steelers and Eagles, as I said, 5-point spread. Patriots and Cardinals, 4.5. Cards favored at home. 46 your total. Cardinals made me look like a fool against the Seahawks. I hated that game. Packers and Seahawks. Go Pack Go. They're 3-point road favorites. That's Sunday Night Football. 46 is our total. And then Monday Night Football, we got a 2 for. Why do we have 2 games on Monday night? Don't know. But we'll be watching 8:15 and 8:30. Bears and Vikings, 6.5. Minnesota favored at home. And then Falcons and the Raiders, 4-point spread, 44.5 is our total in that one. And that's a shame because that's Jingle Ball. So I'm not going to be able to watch any of those games on Monday night when we got 2 of them. All right. Anyways, hey, coming up next, replay. Last night, Nakobe Dean, the All-Pro Philly Players Show, was live at Cheeky's Pizza in Marlton. Gerald Colton doing a bang-up job as usual. I'm going to play that for you on the other side because Nakobe Dean was a great listen with Gerald. Again, all of our player shows can be found at foxphlgambler.com. Special thank you to Eddie Alvarez, the Underground King. Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship coming to Wells Fargo Center on January 25th. Get your tickets, pkfc.com. Shout out to Sean Barnard taking us around the NBA. We got some picks tonight. NBA Cup. Do you respect the Cup? I respect the Cup. Do you? 2 games. Do or die. Win or go home. I'm going to take one underdog, one favorite. Let's go Bucks. Let's go Mavs. Sean Barnard likes both unders in those 2 games. We'll talk more NBA Cup tomorrow as well. Luke Arcaini giving us the insight on everything that's taking place with the Phillies. Nice job by Luke there, crossingbroad.com. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Nakobe Dean is next. Peace.
It's the Daily Ticket with Sean Brace, 3 to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday.
I just want to see Jalen Hurts let it rip. Let's just take some chances. Again, A.J. Brown, we were talking about him 5 weeks ago. Is he the best receiver in the game? I never put him above Justin Jefferson, but he's a top 3, top 4 talent. Give that man an opportunity to go make plays. That's what he wants. And on top of that, he's open. That's the worst part about all of it. Like, this isn't a look at me, I'm throwing my helmet down. I don't expect these guys who compete, these alphas, not to say anything, when things aren't going as smooth as possible. That's going to happen. So I don't take yesterday as drama. Oh, my God, here we go again. No, he's open. Jalen, get him the football. At least give him an opportunity. That's all he wants.
If you can wager on it, we're talking about it right here on The Gambler.
My station, baby.
Had enough of this country? Ever dreamt about starting your own?
I planted the flag. This is mine. I own this.
It's surprisingly easy.
55 gallons of water, 500 pounds of concrete.
Or maybe not.
No country willingly gives up their territory.
Oh my God.
What is that?
Bullet.